Hi there, students. To conclude. A conclusion. So, to conclude actually has two very different meanings. To conclude can mean to finish. So the meeting will conclude at 5 p.m. The conclusion of the meeting, at the conclusion of the meeting, we will go to the pub for a couple of drinks. But also to conclude, to reach a conclusion, to reach a logical decision, to decide, to arrive at a decision. So the magistrate concluded that the defendant was innocent. To conclude, to finish with. The meeting concluded with the national anthem. So to conclude with something. The show concluded with a dance routine. And then to conclude, to come to a decision, to come to an agreement, the committee concluded that it would be better not to spend the money at the moment. Okay, so to conclude a business deal, to arrange, to finally settle. He concluded his speech with a quotation. To determine by logic, by reasoning, to deduce, to infer. So by the smile on your face, I conclude that things went very well and that you got the job. The meeting will conclude, will come to an end at 8 o'clock. Okay, so to conclude, we use this in two completely different ways. To end a speech or a meeting or a piece of writing. He concluded his speech by thanking everybody for coming. Before I conclude, I would like to ask for donations. The concert concluded with songs, with tunes that everybody knew. And then to conclude, to decide, to judge something after thinking carefully about it. They concluded from the evidence that this is what had happened. They didn't reach any conclusions. They did not conclude anything. You can conclude a business deal or an agreement, you agree on it. To judge after consideration, we concluded that we couldn't afford to do this because it was just too expensive. To conclude, to have an opinion about something after thinking about it. The experts conclude that this is probably as difficult as things will get. The scientists concluded that these products were bad for health. I'd like to conclude my speech by mentioning this. To complete an official agreement, to complete a task, to arrange a deal, we concluded the deal, or we will conclude it by the deal will be concluded by the end of next week. The conclusion, the final part of something. So the end of something, the conclusion of your essay. But does that mean the opinion, or does that mean the last bit? It's not clear. To come to a conclusion, to reach a conclusion, to draw conclusion, a conclusion, to reach an opinion having considered all the information, or to come to an end. And it can be very difficult to know which is which. The conclusion of the film was very disappointing. The conclusions of the report are important things to remember. Okay, so a conclusion. a conclusion is something that you reach after thinking about things for a period of time. At the conclusion of his performance, everybody was in tears. At the conclusion of World War II, there was a mess all over Europe. But we both reached the same conclusion from the evidence. An archaeologist can draw conclusions about how people lived in the past. I eventually came to the conclusion that he wasn't going to pay me back the money that he owed me. So, to conclude, to bring something to an end, or to reach a logically necessary end, to infer on the basis of, I concluded that her reasoning was sound. Okay, to make a decision, I concluded that the best thing to do would be to buy this item. A conclusion, a reasoned judgment, an inference. The obvious conclusion is that he was a very lazy worker. The conclusion, the last part of something, the conclusion of the game, or to come to a successful conclusion, a successful outcome. We are hoping for a quick conclusion to this war, but that doesn't normally happen. You conclude that something is true, you decide that it's true based on the facts. You use these facts as a basis for your decision. So what can we conclude from the discussion that we've had? And then to conclude, the last thing, I would like to conclude by thanking you all very much for coming. So to conclude, to finish, to complete, to close, to terminate, to infer, to induce, to surmise, and that's the problem with it. Conclusion, the finish, the termination, the close, or the decision, the inference, the determination. And this is it, to conclude. So conclude and conclusion, I think both of these I'm going to give a 5 in formality. Use them absolutely anywhere. And then from Latin, conclusio, from concludere, to conclude, con claudo. I think claudo means to shut, so this is the idea. So conclusion.